Bradford City begin their 2026-27 League One campaign with a home clash against Luke Williams at Peterborough United. And in today's video, you're going to find out how both teams have got on so far this season, three key players for the opposition, and what my starting 11 would be for this match. If you do go on to enjoy today's video, please make sure to drop a like on there for me and subscribe to the channel as well. If you are new, can we try and hit 200 likes on today's video? And don't forget to get your thoughts in down in the comment section down below. Let me know down below your starting 11 and score prediction for this match. Apart from that, let's waste no further time and get straight into it. Having a look then at how both teams have got on so far this season. Obviously there is just one Carabao Cup match for both of these sides to go through and look at, but we began our season with a 2-0 win at home to Rochdale. They were the better side really for the first 10 minutes or so, but then after that it was largely controlled by Bradford City, especially in the second half. I don't think it would have really surprised anybody if this did finish in a 3 or 4-0 scoreline. You look at the stats, and as always at Valley Parade, we were the dominant side, and even though Rochdale are heavily possession based, we did have more of the ball, create way more XG, more shots, 11 shots on target, 5 big chances, 10 corners, total domination against what was obviously an incredible side in the National League last season. Compared though to Peterborough United, they began their season with a 1-0 win away at Bristol Rovers. Harry Leonard scoring the only goal of the game from the penalty spot. A fair few yellow cards there for Posh in the first half. But looking at the stats from the game then, Peterborough created more XG and had slightly more of the ball, but did give up 20 shots. Bristol Rovers also had more shots on target, but Peterborough had 4 big chances in the match and also had 5 corners. So I would say on the balance of play, maybe a draw might have been a fair result, but with obviously Peterborough being a League One side at this moment in time, then you would expect them to have more quality, especially in that final third. But obviously it has been a big change again at Peterborough this summer. There's been a lot of criticism headed towards Chairman Darren McAntony because of the lack of signings. I know they're going to make a couple today, but their squad has been absolutely decimated over the last couple of seasons, and in my opinion there is a real lack of League One quality in that side. In terms of the last time out between both of these sides, we are only going back to February, where Bradford City picks up a 2-0 victory in this exact fixture, and it was comfortably our best performance of the season. Peterborough were absolutely awful on that day, persistent on trying to play out from the back and having a possession-based style. Our pitch wasn't great at that time in the season, but pretty much every team in League One had stopped playing out from the back against Bradford City by the end of September because nobody could deal with our press. And Peterborough, who were well below us in the table at the time, rocked up to Valley Parade and thought, well, yeah, we've got a load of injuries, but we're just going to play our way. And it really did not work out well for them. Poynton and Jackson finding themselves on the score sheet, but it was absolute domination, and hopefully we can see something similar in this game. But again, no two football matches are ever the same, and even though there's only 8 months between these two games, I would anticipate surely it can't be as easy as what this game was. And yes, Peterborough had injuries, in particular in their defence. That it isn't great, but the likes of Bass, Collins, Kayla, Morgan, Lisby, Leonard, all pretty decent players for the level. I guess when you are looking at players though like Donnelly, Nevitt, Johnson at left back maybe, and Kean Hayes, they're nowhere near League One players really, are they? In terms of the opposition key players, firstly Harry Leonard is the most obvious one. With Cara Lisby moving on, there is now a lot of pressure on Harry Leonard to deliver a similar season like what he had last year. I think he got 17 goals and 7 assists in the end. Only 22 years of age, a striker that certainly knows where the back of the net is, so we can't be giving up chances to him because he is a very good player, especially in the final third. He scored Peterborough's only goal of the season so far, and he's certainly one to look out for at the top of the pitch. Former Bantam Brandon Kayla is the next player that I am going to highlight. With Archie Collins moving on this summer on a free transfer to our rivals Huddersfield Town, he does now leave a bit of room in that midfield for somebody to step up, and Brandon Kayla, having had a full season of League One football under his belt, I think he'll be kicking on this season. I think he needs to find himself a role in that midfield and profile himself, because it's good being able to play as a 6, an 8, a 10, but I think Brandon Kayla's best position is as a box-to-box number 8 midfielder. From what I saw of him at his time at Bradford City, he is still only young at 21 years of age, so mistakes are certainly going to happen. He was at fault for our goal away at Peterborough last season, where he got caught out by Bradford City's high press. But I really like Kayla. I think he's a good footballer. He got 6 goal contributions last season, played a lot of football. I think he'll probably get a similar amount of game time this season as well. Played the full match against Bristol Bristol Rovers the other day, and given that he is an ex-Bantam, certainly is someone to look out for. And my final suggestion is also another ex-Bantam, and that is Alex Bass. When he was with the football club in the second half of the 21-22 season, anytime he'd play on a Saturday, he'd be pretty poor, but if he played on a Tuesday night, he'd be incredible. And whilst he was at fault for the goal that Bobby Poynton scores in that fixture back up in February, he actually had a pretty decent game there on the whole and stopped it from being quite an embarrassing scoreline, and that happened a fair few times to Peterborough last season, where they were getting battered a little bit. They were under the cosh, and Bass would keep them in games. Then they'd be relying on the likes of Lisby and Garbutt and Harry Leonard as well to get them the goals going forward. I would have highlighted Garbutt as well, but obviously he is going to be injured for this game. But Alex Bass, again, a keeper that we do know quite a lot about, developed quite a lot since the last time he was playing regularly at Valley Parade, but he's without a doubt one of the best goalkeepers in the division on his day. In terms of my team then for this game, we're going to go through the starting 11 in each individual position, because obviously I haven't done a video already talking about that, but I would make a couple of changes for this game. I would stick with the 3-4-2-1 formation. In goal for me would still be John McCracken. Obviously we have had a change in the other goalkeeper over the last coming days or so, with Sam Walker joining Watford and Cameron Dawson signing for the football club, but I absolutely do see John McCracken as Bradford City's number one. In terms of the back three, right centre back, I would bring in Reece Welch. I was really impressed with him against Salford City, and I think he could be useful dealing with the 1v1 dribbling ability of whoever does play on the wing for Peterborough. One of those players might get announced as a new signing today, but I don't think Matt Pennington was fantastic against Rochdale. There was a couple of mistakes in there, both in possession and also defensively a little bit as well, so I would personally like to see Reece Welch come in for this one. In the middle, I would stick with Aidan Baldwin. On the whole, had a strong performance against Rochdale. There was the odd sloppy pass in the first half, but obviously gets his goal as well in the second half, and obviously he'll be coming up against one of his former managers in Luke Williams. They obviously work together at Notts County. At left centre back, I would bring in Ibu Toure. Again, at Peterborough, they're not a big physical side, so I don't think we need that physicality of Gillespie, and I wasn't really impressed with Gillespie, and I wouldn't say I have been so far. There's just something about him where he makes me a little bit nervous, does Gillespie. I don't think he's made a big mistake yet, but I think he's certainly got one in him, and obviously there was a chance for Rochdale in the second half where kind of Baldwin was shielding the striker and Gillespie should have gone to the ball and cleared it, and he backed away, and it gave Rochdale a bit of a half chance. So I would personally go with Toure. Again, we know Peterborough are known for their tricky wingers, and I think Toure is the perfect man to deal with that in terms of 1v1 defending ability, and Toure had a fantastic pre-season as well. In terms of my midfield four, at right wing back, I would stick with Josh Nerthil. I thought he had a pretty decent first half against Rochdale last weekend, and in this fixture last season back in February, Josh Nerthil was fantastic on that day. Cal Johnston simply could not deal with him, and I'm pretty sure he got the assist for our second goal, so hopefully we can see more of that from Nerthil. High pressing, attacking football, taking on his man and getting balls into the box. My two deeper midfielders, firstly I would stick with Callum Connolly. Obviously Henry Cartwright was actually suspended for last Saturday's game against Rochdale. Why was he suspended, I hear you ask? Because he got sent off in the Scottish Cup last season. I've never heard of that in my life, but I thought Connolly had a really strong game against Rochdale. I like what I've seen from him so far. He's not the most mobile and he's not the quickest of midfielders, but he wins the ball back, he positioned himself well. He's certainly not scared to put a challenge in, and I have quite liked what I've seen so far from Callum Connolly. Partnering him, I would stick with the captain, Anthony Sarcevic. I know, again, a lot has been made about them two as a pairing. Sarcevic spoke about it in his pre-match press conference, saying, he's seen what the fans have been saying on social media and all that sort of stuff, and it's only really motivated him to have an even more successful season, and that's exactly why Sarcevic is the captain, because he's obviously not taking that criticism personally. He's using that as motivation to have another really strong season. Again, against a young, energetic side like Peterborough, it's the perfect test to see if this partnership of Connolly and Sarcevic is going to work. But there's no doubt that going forward, we're certainly going to score more goals by doing so. And completing my midfield four, at left wing back, I would stick with Tyreek Wright. I thought he had a strong enough game against Rochdale. Hopefully we can see him start this season how he ended last campaign, with goal contributions coming left, right and centre. And then in terms of my front three, firstly, as my right attacking midfielder, I would stick with Caden Jackson. I thought he had a pretty strong game against Rochdale, was a little bit unlucky not to find himself on the score sheet right at the end of the first half last Saturday. I think eventually Adam Phillips will work his way into the side, but he's a little bit behind from a fitness point of view, and ultimately, Jackson's currently got the shirt and he hasn't played poorly, so it would seem a little bit harsh to see him drop out of the side. And again, he obviously scored in this fixture last season and caused Peterborough absolute havoc at the back. If they're going to play out from the back, Jackson is the perfect pressing man for that. As my left attacking midfielder, I would go with Will Swan. Obviously, he opened up his account for the season last Saturday with a brilliant finish. Wasn't a great first half. There was the odd sloppy touch here or there from Will Swan, but he really grew into it, and I thought second half he did look much stronger. And again, having the pressing ability of Jackson and Swan, if Peterborough are going to play out from the back, that is exactly the type of attacking midfielders that I want in my side. And as my striker, again, I would stick with Jake Beasley. I thought he was very unlucky not to find himself on the score sheet, especially in the second half against Rochdale, but you can see the sort of threat and handful that he is going to be. We certainly need somebody physical at the top end of the pitch, because Peterborough are probably going to play with David Akagbu and Tom O'Connor as their two centre-backs, and they are more physically imposing. Sam Hughes, I don't think, will probably be available for this one, and they actually subbed off Tom O'Connor at half-time against Bristol Rovers because of fitness concerns, so if that Mendonca plays or Nevitt, we could be having an absolute field day. But that would be my starting 11. I think that's how Bradford City beat Peterborough quite comfortably, to be honest. On the bench then for me, that would leave Cameron Dawson, Matt Pennington, Macaulay Gillespie, Henry Cartwright, Adam Phillips, Bobby Poynton and Nick Powell. At this moment in time, I don't think any players are currently unavailable, but if somebody's injured, Alexander's not going to say that in his pre-match press conference. So the players who miss out then through selection would be Joe Wright, Oscar Lunn, George Lapsley, Stephen Humphreys and also Harry Ibbotson. Could we see any of those leave the football club before the end of the window? We still expect some more additions to be coming in through the door, but when you've got pretty much a full strength squad to pick from, it does make those substitute options a little bit harder to choose. But anyway, I'm going to leave it there then for today's video. If you have enjoyed, please make sure to drop a like on there for me and subscribe to the channel as well. If you are new, can we try and hit 200 likes as I said at the start of today's video? And don't forget to get your thoughts in down in the comment section down below. Let me know down below your score prediction and starting 11 for this match. I'm back in Bradford City for a 3-0 home win. Thank you all for watching, have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you very soon for another one.